here tonight with Kit Zauhar, a fabulous filmmaker, triple threat, first feature you wrote, directed, starred in, and it premiered at Locarno and then went to Slam Dance, right?
Yes.
How would you introduce yourself?
That was a good introduction, I
Really?
think. Yeah, I'm Kit. I'm a filmmaker, writer, director, actress, I guess is how I put it on my bio. Yeah.
Did you draw from like personal experience, existential crises? I've heard through the grapevine that you were dating someone who was involved in the film, if you want to talk about that.
Yes. I was dating my DP basically right after graduation until about a year ago. But yeah, it kind of draws from my last week of NYU, where I basically just like everything in my personal life imploded. And then through that kind of like desperation, I ended up really kind of learning, I mean, it sounds kind of cliche, but learning a lot about myself and how I needed to grow the fuck up. So it kind of is all a distillation of those feelings and a little bit of that beginning of growth in the film. Yeah.
And when you look at from a relationship perspective, how have your relationships grown and your views about relationships?
I kind of thought I had very little experience going in to NYU, like relationship wise, like sex wise. Like I didn't lose my virginity till I was like almost like 19, which I feel like is pretty late for someone from like, I don't know, who's like pretty socially adjusted.
But it's actually not as uncommon as all the people who lose it at that age think that it is.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know?
But I also just had very little experience with boys, and I feel like it was just a lot of figuring it out. I feel like as I got older though, I mean, I don't know, you just learn through every like kind of failed interaction or relationship what you need and like how to, I think something that's really important for me that I learned was like advocating for myself in it. Like just in life in general, but like especially in relationships, I think it's really easy to like compromise and like lose yourself in certain ways, like lose yourself into like another person's social life, another person's like views on the world, whatever. But I think as I got older, the more I learned to advocate for myself and really try and get what I need out of people.
Well, and do you think that there was like an aha moment in a relationship where you're like, whoa, my kind of ways of being in relationships is not working for me anymore? Or was it like a gradual realization with time? Because sometimes there's one relationship that'll do it for you.
Well, my one big relationship in college, my boyfriend who like, okay, whatever. I don't give a fuck if he watches this. He probably will though, because he's kind of like stalking.
Does he lurk?
Because I don't know, he seems like to check up on me. So if you're watching this, I'm not
they
to say
always
something mean
do.
to you, I mean about you, but he like basically broke up with me out of nowhere and then didn't tell me why. Like literally, like truly was like we had sex the night before and everything seemed like so fine. And then the next day he like came to my apartment with like all my shit that I left at his place and he was like, I'm breaking up with you. And
and this is after how long?
It was after like a year and a half. Yeah, and like didn't tell me why, just like, and then also I was like, can I at least get like an explanation? And he like wouldn't tell me for so long. And finally it was revealed that while I was out of my apartment one day, he came in and read my entire diary, which was like a year and a half's worth of like insights and just like, you know, ramblings to myself. So I read all this stuff about all the sex dreams I've had, all this like, you know, shit that you have to be honest to at least yourself about. And then he told me that, and then he's like, and not only did he do that, but he told his parents all the things that he'd read about himself, and his parents were like,
he told his parents?
Yeah, and his parents were not like, we didn't raise a son to go through like his partner's diary and like all her personal shit. They were like, oh, it seems like she probably doesn't love you. And that's why he broke up with me. And then, so that relationship taught me, I mean, I don't even know, because that was just such a freak-a-leak move on his part. Like, I really never encountered anything quite like it since. But what that did teach me is that, I mean, not to expect the worst in people, but like, people really can hide motives for so long, or they can just hide how they're really feeling for so long.
And repress it.
And like, he was also just someone who very desperately needed to figure his shit out. But this is one thing I do remember, and I would urge people to do this. I took a picture of myself as soon as he left, because I was like, I know this is the low moment. You have to have faith, I think, even in those really bad moments, that it's like not catastrophic. Like, your feelings feel catastrophic, and you need to like respect that and acknowledge that. Right. But I think, there's always a narrative to your emotions, and like, a low point means, a trajectory of some sort.
So you took the picture of yourself,
yeah,
and you kind of knew that you were going to get over it. Mm-hmm. How do you meet people in New York? Like, have you met lovers and relationship people and all of it?
Well, unfortunately for me, email is a very big part of it.
Email?
Yeah. So,
oh my God.
So the guy that I started seeing after my breakup, I had been emailing with a lot.
That's actually a first for the consultant. Yeah.
And then my current boyfriend now, I also met him because I emailed him a script for something for him to act in. But I don't know, I think there's something very romantic about emails. I also, if I'm very like upset at someone or I want to reconnect with someone, I am much more likely to like email them.
Right.
Something very long and thought out, as opposed to like, the long block text. I'm not as big of a fan of, even though the visual impact of that is impeccable, I think. Yeah, how do I meet people besides email?
Do you meet people like going out?
I go out to like 2 bars.
Which bars?
I go to Clandestino and Dr. Clark, and I already know everyone there. So it's just more like, my boyfriend was like, your life is like a sitcom. You just meet the same cast of characters at a bar every fucking night, and you just talk about nonsense, and you get drunk and go home, which I guess is kind of true. So I think dating in New York, I think it's bad, right? But most people are, I'm kind of cynical about this. I just think most people suck, right? I thought that was kind of like the agreed upon, like consensus we all came together. I'm like just
super
with.
Optimistic.
Really? Are you? Oh, that's great.
I'm like I don't know. I try to pep people up about it, but
that's good. No, I don't think people are that bad, but when people are like, oh my God, dating in New York is so tough, I'm like, well, yeah, like where have you been like your entire life? Like people treat each other like absolute shit. Like, but then also, I think people need to just learn to have a little more fun. But yeah, so people treat it like a game until they get played, and then they're like salty, you know. But it's like you're like my friends also will be at bars like swipe left right. They let me take over.
Oh, I love taking over.
And I'm like, who am I? Like I'm just like some random person now in charge of your fate. You guys maybe could have gotten married, but I'm gonna swipe left because you have like an Otessa Moshfegh book in one of your profile pictures, and I'm like, basic, swipe left. And my friend is like could have lost on the love of his life, but like there we have it. So I don't know. I think it's just not that, if you don't treat it as that deep, it's not going to be that deep. But I'm sure like if you were like, going out there emailing people that you're interested in,
bring back AOL.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think the DM. Maybe I have done this. Like the DM, like what is it? Sliding into the DMs. My friend who's kind of a big artist, or he's like on the up and up. He has a lot of people sliding into his DMs, and he really likes it and he really appreciates it. And he goes out on a lot of dates that way.
That's nice.
And so I think, if there's just a certain level of action that needs to take place, I think. Like if you're active, like I doubt that you'll feel so like everything is so hard pressed and so kind of depressing because you're taking initiative. I met people at film festivals is also mostly
so I wanted you to let's jump to Locarno, and then also just the film industry in general because it's so incestuous. But so what went down there besides your lovely film actual people screening?
Locarno was just a very fucking cool experience. So basically, like, okay, have you ever seen that movie Le Coquille by Sophie Turner for for the audience. It's a movie set, you know, in the grand tradition of filmmakers making films at film festivals. It's her going to Locarno with two of her friends. They film it during the week of Locarno, and it's just all of them desperately trying to fuck. What's his name? Louis Garrel in particular, but kind of just anyone also. Yeah. And
low-key love him.
I know. And so then when the first night I was there, I was talking. So also all of the programmers obviously knew me because, you know, I am in the film. So it was just kind of like an instant way to meet a lot of the people who were working at the festival. And I was like, oh, are any of you guys in the Sophie Letourneau movie? And they were like, no. And then this one guy who worked at Locarno was like, no one fucks at Locarno.
You were like, game on,
no,
honey.
I really was. I was like, okay, we'll see about that. And so then that whole like 2 weeks, like a little under 2 weeks, I was just like very vaguely scoping him out, and we just would end up at like the same parties and stuff. Really no like actual. I was like, if it happens, it happens.
Were you attracted to him?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, he was like really cute. Also, just like he had a very like cool vibe, and it also seemed like he was kind of posing this challenge a little bit. And so, you know, over the course of that like time at the festival, we were just like getting closer and closer and just like running into each other a lot. There was some like light flirtation on certain nights. And then last night I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like the party ended and a bunch of us went to go skinny dip in the river, which is kind of like a last night tradition. And I was just like, we were all skinny dipping, and I was like on acid. I was like looking at the stars, and I was just like, damn, Kit, this is joie de vivre. This is like living life to your fullest. You just met your soulmate. Yeah. You're swimming naked in some clean ass water. This is great. And so then we got out, and there was just like, you know, there's just a vibe. I don't even know how to describe it.
It's always just a vibe.
Yeah. And it was just like everyone else started leaving, and it was just the three of us, and then we just all started like making out and had this like extremely public threesome where like definitely people like who saw like my movie also then saw me like fucking these two people like fully like in a lit park like on the grass. Like it was actually like so insane. I was like whatever, I don't care. You guys are both like adults and you're like late 30s like. But they were all so we just. And then it was like the sun came up, and I was like leaving that day, and so I like FaceTimed my friends who were staying at my Airbnb, and I was like, hey, I will not be able to make it back to the Airbnb. Just shove anything you can find of mine in my suitcase and get your asses over here. Yeah. It's 6 a.m. They just like drearily they're like, oh my god, and they just pack everything up for me, and then I didn't even shower, and then I had to like take a bus and then a plane back to the U.S. So
what a way to leave, though.
I know, but it was great, and it was so fun. And like I always like to say, after people are broken up with, no TV series has a pilot start with a girl getting in a relationship, and they're like, shut the fuck up, dumb bitch. Yeah,
no, that's very good.
It's true.
It is true.
You know, you have a lot of adventures when you're single, for better or for worse.
It is true.
Yeah. But because I think being single is so liberating, like, and as much as there are like the downsides of it, like, I think you derive so much power and strength and like, sorry, this is getting a little too like girl boss for me. But like, but you
girl boss it up, girl.
But you derive a lot of meaning from your life, and like, and I think. I don't know, for me, honestly, like, there's no more, like, powerful and sort of, like, cool feeling than wearing, like, you know, an outfit you really like and feeling really good and just, like, walking down the street by yourself and feeling, like, all of that, like, I don't know, just that you're enough by yourself and, like, you feel powerful and pretty and whatever else you want to feel. And I think that's like a very cool feeling. And like, I don't know, I just think also like there's so many times when people are in relationships where their friends get sidelined, and that's something I'm trying really, really hard to not do, because like at the end of the day, it's like your friends are going to be like, whatever. You can think you're going to be in a relationship with someone forever, and you might be. Who knows? Like, who knows, right?
But you also have to tend to the relationships that pre-existed the boyfriend or the partner or
And just like, and those can like should be able to fill you up. Like, if you don't feel satisfied by your friendships, that doesn't mean you need a partner. It probably means you get better friends.
Where do you derive inspiration? Like, where does your inspiration for your films come from?
It comes a lot from dynamics that I'm interested in exploring, I think, more than anything else. Like, I think a lot of my films are built on conversation. How does conversation propel or repel connection? How do conversations sort of bring out different dynamics and sides of characters? And so, I mean, my new film, it's about a couple who stays at an Airbnb with this sort of like incel type guy. I'm really kind of hesitant to use incel, but I think it's just the easiest way to describe him. Mm-hmm. Someone who could easily become an incel, I'll say. And it's about a lot of changing dynamics between them. My characters sort of really liking this attention this guy is giving me that perhaps my boyfriend isn't. My boyfriend, the character of my boyfriend, deriving sort of a lot of masculine sort of satisfaction about the fact that he's so much better than this guy, but also maybe a little bit of intimidation because of like the unknownness of this character. And it's just a lot about how these three people are existing in this space.
How would you define love?
Ooh. I think there's a very good poem, actually. I won't be able to recite it, but it's a Louise Gluck poem called it's like on like Hudson Croton or something like that, and it's just this very short poem about two people traveling together. And it's a little, like a lot of Louise Gluck's poems they're a little sad, and they're very grounded in like sort of the reality of intimacy. But I whenever I read that poem, I think that's sort of like a great encapsulation of love. And it ends just one single line, "I want you." After this sort of more, not destitute, but this very kind of cold, atmospheric feeling scene, it just ends with that. And it's like above all the happenings around this person, the kind of like prevailing thought is just that. And I think that is love, like, in whatever form it is. It's being able to see beyond like what is happening to that person, right? Because it's like, if every single time I was annoyed at one of like my friends, or even like at my boyfriend, if I like took that as like its face value, as opposed to like that being noise, and like in general sort of like the coldness and the sadness of the world being like the things you need to look beyond, like, you know, I think the world would be a very different place. But I think like if you accept that past a certain threshold there's something better in regards to a certain person, and that is always sort of the frame of mind, like, I think that is love. It's like, well, it's hope, right? It's hope in that person. And so I think hope is sort of like the foundation of it all. I feel like I stole that from another poem too. I feel like that's like an E. Cummings poem that I just riffed the fuck off of.
Whatever it was very lovely.
Thank you. But yeah, that's what I think.
So for the viewers, how can they watch Actual People? How can they keep track of you and what you're working on?
Well, Actual People is back on the festival circuit, but we'll be having a theatrical release in spring. I don't know.
Do you already know? You don't know where yet?
I don't know where. Okay. I don't know when.
But it's coming. It's coming.
It'll be coming out in a theater near you if you're in a major metropolitan city.
Yeah.
With a lot of young people, or maybe a college town. And you can find me, I guess, Instagram, which is Kitaki Mushrooms. And you can send me an email, which you can find there, or you can write.
Oh my God, you're inviting people to send you an email.
Yeah.
Down chicken.
Keep it PG though, okay?
Yeah, she has a boyfriend. That's true. Happy Valentine's Day.